So another member of independent media got attacked today, and this person was Holly Seeliger, who does YouTube videos called Zewert Politicon with Holly Seeliger. I watch her videos, I'm subscribed, and I'm also a Patreon contributor. The person who did this hit piece is Greg Kesich, who is an editorial page editor at Press Herald, which is located in Portland, Maine. And I'm going to go through the hit piece and just highlight a few things. Of course, everything that I do, everything that I put in this video has a source, and you can actually view that source in the description box. Okay, so Greg Kesich, for Portland residents, a source of real fake news right in our backyard, school board member Holly Seeliger has promoted several debunked news stories on social media and YouTube. And he talks about Seth Rich's murder. Rich's murder, which police say was probably the result of a botched robbery, has been irresistible for right-wing media commentators who claim with no evidence that Rich, not Russian hackers, was the source of the WikiLeaks document dump last year that revealed DNC staffers speaking disrespectfully about Bernie Sanders. Now, there's also no evidence that Russian hackers was the source of the WikiLeaks document dump. There is no evidence. Provide the evidence. You're a person who works for corporate media. You get paid to do investigations, right? I believe so. Okay. So find the evidence and post it, please. Continuing, the scandal pays off for them two ways at once, taking the heat off the Trump's campaign, alleged links to Russian interference in the presidential election. Now look at that. Alleged links to Russian interference. There's no evidence. And further demonizing Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton has a DNC fraud lawsuit tied to the DNC fraud and that's led by Jared Beck and Elizabeth Beck, and Nico House is involved. That isn't being shown in mainstream media. It's being talked about everywhere in independent media. Now, you have allegations and you have actual proof and evidence, and that's why there is a DNC fraud lawsuit happening. That is why, due to the John Podesta leaks and the DNC leaks, that there is collusion between the DNC and the DNC primary against Bernie Sanders. That's why Debbie Wasserman Schultz stepped down. That's why the person who replaced her, I forget her name right now, also got fired from CNN. Okay. And so this DNC fraud lawsuit is real. Continuing, by now we have all become inured to the label of fake news because it gets slapped on every news story that leads to a conclusion that someone doesn't like. But we live in an era where there's such a thing as real fake news, fake stories that are manufactured either for propaganda or profit. Well, now I'll let you know this. Everyone knows that mainstream media people get paid a lot. You got Rachel Maddow, who doesn't make as much as a lot of the elite anchors do. She makes at least $6 to $7 million a year. That accounts to $30,000 a show. Now, and that show is usually an hour long. $30,000 for an hour's worth of work in front of the camera. What I'm doing now, I'm doing for free. I don't get paid to do this. I actually give money to people in independent media so they can keep going, because I don't want to do this. Okay. So now, people in independent media, they don't get paid by any corporation. They probably have, that's why they're called independent media. They also don't get any money, as much money for advertisements anymore, because most of them do a lot of their news on YouTube. And YouTube has a demonetization thing that happened a month or two ago. I forget what it is, but you can go and research it if you don't know about that. So all their money is coming in form of donations from individuals, and a lot of these people in independent media aren't making a lot. And I'll go back to that more, because you can actually see Holly Seeliger's Patreon and see how much she's making. She's working full-time, and a lot of people in independent media work full-time and they do this on the side. This is me doing this on the side too. And I don't really report the news. It's more of a commentary and just kind of how you think about things in the world, I guess. This is all about education. So here's my educational piece on this. And we're going to continue on. In addition to the rich conspiracy, Seeliger has been an active proponent of the thoroughly debunked Pizzagate child sex ring theory. Now, I would like to know how that is debunked, because any type of investigation into Pizzagate is automatically set as a conspiracy theory, and then the person actually doing the Pizzagate investigation all of a sudden stops. Any local news media personnel that does this, they are pretty much told to cease and desist, and you don't see any more investigations from them on it. And there's also no lawsuit that John Podesta has against anyone saying that he's a part of any crazy, what you might say, pedophile ring. Although you do know that pedophile rings exist, but is John Podesta involved? Well, he seems to not care about whether people say Pizzagate is real or not, at least in public, and there are no lawsuits filed from him against anyone else. And there's a strategic side of this that I would want to get into later, but I don't want to do that right now, because this is about how people are attacking down towards independent media. So I wanted to defend that against that, and I also want to probably counterattack this person, Greg Kesich, or whatever his name is. Okay, so let's see. Continuing on. Pizzagate child sex ring theory, alleging in commentary that Democratic operative and Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta sent emails that used code words including pizza, and that's the FBI. Those are the code words, and the FBI are the ones that all these code words that input John Podesta emails, they exist in FBI investigations about pedophiles. All right, continuing on, which people in the sexually deviant community knew referred to child abuse and child rape, pedophilia, and human trafficking. I, for one, and many others in independent media, would rather investigate potential possibilities of pedophile rings than not. So if that's a conspiracy theory and craziness that you're thinking of, I think, and many others think, that it's crazy not to investigate something like that. Continuing, Seeliger has at times proposed on other social media sites that the notion that Hitler and the Nazis started out as liberals, and that President Lyndon B. Johnson ordered the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. because he didn't want King running against him as a third-party candidate in 1968. Never mind that Johnson had already pulled out of the race by the time of King's death. And at the end it says, it shouldn't be. Fake news is fake no matter where it comes from. Okay, so another article where there was a panel which included Greg Kesich talking about fake news. He said, now if you say something someone disagrees with, it's automatically fake news. And they fielded questions about fake news, and Kasich defined as false articles published with the intent to mislead readers. And he wants people to subscribe to a newspaper, and it's because our business model is collapsing. The structures that enabled us to perform this public service has evaporated, and that is really going to change the ability of the news organizations to do our job. I would like for him to do his job, actually provide real news, because his news in regards to a lot of people in independent media is fake. There's nothing that is sourced. Anything that is sourced is by mainstream media. They're following the mainstream media narrative, and mainstream media talks about how the source is someone inside the government that is unknown, and they don't want to reveal that person's information. And so it's basically hearsay. There is no proof. Okay. If you go down into the comments, and I'm going to go over it, going to the actual website, it says, but she's also promoting lies that are damaging to civil society. This is different. She has produced a propaganda program that sells lies for money. Okay, let's talk about money. You probably make 50, 60 grand at least a year in Portland, Maine, and the living cost isn't that much. I do know Holly Seeliger works a full-time job or a part-time job, and part-time she does videos. So this is Holly Seeliger's Patreon page. She has 33 patrons. She makes $142 a month. That's nowhere near where you could actually survive and provide full-time news coverage. So she has to pretty much have a job, I think. Okay, and now let's talk about what you do know and what you don't know. Okay, Greg Kesich. All right, there is a lawsuit against the DNC police where they are trying to force the DC police to turn over information in the Seth Rich murder, and because a lot of the information on a pretty lowly botched robbery is being withheld. Why would you withhold it unless there's an ongoing investigation on it and you don't want to reveal who the suspect is, where they might get away or something dumb like that? It's been what, 8 months, 9 months, and there's no lead. So give it to people who are competent, give it to organizations that are competent that will help with this case and find a murderer. Even if Seth Rich wasn't the DNC leaker, then you're still finding someone who murdered someone out in public. Okay. All right. So let's talk about Greg Kesich and what he writes about. Look at that. So the fake news hit piece, reactions to losing a $20 reveal a great deal about us. These are just the headlines I'm reading. Like, how important is that? Court life gives new life to a flawed election system that gave us LePage. People don't give a crap about that. The right needs a hug as it decides when Trump has crossed the line. That's like an emotional, dumb article. I wouldn't even want to read that. There must be a method to Strimling's pay raise madness. Pay raise stuff. Protesters in fighting mood followed by fighter in alternate reality. Look at all this crap. This ain't news. This is just puff pieces or just things that really don't matter too much to people. There is no really good coverage of, I mean, if it's really important to him, cover stuff that's debunking all these proposed propaganda pieces or people in independent media trying to make money, measly $142 a month money. Okay, stop doing these. Stop hitting down on independent media. If you really want people to stop listening to independent media, then do your job. Provide evidence, provide proof that all these so-called conspiracy theories of yours are indeed debunked. Just because you say it's debunked doesn't mean it's debunked. That's not news. That's not investigative journalism. Okay, that's just your opinion. And what I want people to do is go ahead and read that article. And if you look at the comments, there's a lot of comments supporting Holly Seeliger. And you're going to get a lot of flack for this. And good, because you should be fired. You shouldn't be doing this type of news without any actual evidence stacked that she is actually propagating fake news for money. She is not, because it's nothing that she could live off of. You might have a case that she's doing this if she was making maybe $100,000 a year out of just contributions, or maybe maybe Russia. If you had any evidence that Russia is paying her under the table to do this, then provide that. Otherwise, all you're doing is just smearing someone, and you're gonna get a lot of flack for that. And any news media piece that you do, I'm gonna look into it. I think a lot of people are gonna look into it. So you better watch out, because we're gonna scrutinize you every second we can get. All right, that's it for this video.